Well, I'm Will Yeoman, and welcome to another episode of the Pod Well Travelled. I'm joined today by travel editor Stephen Scourfield, and we're going to take you around the world because, as Stephen says, on the cover of Sunday's travel section, the world is our oyster. Stephen, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Will. Thanks.
So, things are really opening up.
Yeah, I think, look, by this stage in the year, we can really see what's happening in the world of travel. We can see what people are doing, where they're going, and we can see what they're booking ahead for as well. So through the various booking systems, it's quite interesting to see how Australians and West Australians in particular are shaping up their year of travel now that we're back out in the world.
Yes. Yeah, and I think you've got a few select destinations that are already showing, very, very strong trends.
Look, I have. I mean, if the hot kid on the block is Japan at the moment for bookings.
For bookings.
So,
yes.
Yeah, and of course, we're sort of straddling two seasons. So we've got a lot of Australians already in Japan for the ski and snowboarding season.
So yeah, right up in the north. Yeah.
Yeah, it's such an odd spot for that. I mean, the geography makes it odd. It gets this incredible light, dry powder snow, as I'm sure lots of Australians will know. Through force of geography, so you've got the very warm Japan Sea, which gets lots of transpiration, and you get these blasts of Siberian wind through it, which just creates this snow. Also, there's a great style of ski in, ski out skiing there. So you stay in the snow in a lodge, and you literally sort of ski out of the back door. You put your skis on in the morning, you go out of the back door, and you're on the snow. Then you ski back in the front door in the evening,
Amazing.
So unlike, say, skiing in New Zealand, where you tend to stay down in Queenstown or in town, and then every day you go up to the snow, this is a very different sort of experience. So that's on, and we're just doing some research. The Japan Weather Association says that the cherry blossom season will start on March the 25th.
There you go.
Being very, very precise, of course. And you know all about that, of course.
Well, the thing is, though, I'm always fascinated by that because on the one hand, you've got cherry blossom season and to a lesser extent the autumn, with the lovely sort of russet leaves and everything coming out, which is amazing as well. But they obviously the peak times. So you sort of think to yourself, well, should I, unless I'm so desperate to see these, should I just hang off for when it's a little quieter?
It's a really good point, Will. It's a really good point, and I think it applies to travel generally, that some of us like shoulder seasons, just like those, like as you're suggesting, those slightly quieter times that the whole world will be there on March the 25th, for a couple of weeks.
Converging, exactly. It'll be
so you might want to be there on the 20th, or you might want to be there in April, sort of later in April sort of thing. You're exactly right. And look, you just pointed out something which I sort of hadn't said and missed, is that the foliage change is just so amazing. It's an incredible time of year. So any time that you get those shifts in Japan, it's very beautiful. And of course, the nature of the culture is to celebrate those natural phenomena as much as they do their own built phenomena. I'm just looking at all the temples and castles there, thinking about those, but then you've got the nature on top of it.
No, exactly right. Yeah, and you can understand why it is such a popular destination, particularly for us in Australia.
And Kyoto, of course, is super, which is somewhere well. It's
just beautiful. The history. And for someone who's looking for something just a little more old-fashioned, a little less frenetic than Tokyo. Kyoto is usually the go-to place, isn't it? Good point. So there's Japan. So, what else is on?
Of course, particularly out of West Australia, but out of Australia, Bali has always been this sort of extension of Australia in some ways. It's a little bit of Asia, I suppose. It's really changed. It's changed a bit because there's kind of two Balis in my mind now. There is the old kind of Kuta, and the sort of cheap Bali, I suppose I'd have to say,
yes.
And, the sort of crowded places like that. But then, there's another end to Bali, which is, luxury is not really the word, I suppose, but, it's expensive. There are great places to stay, very isolated, beautiful places to stay. So there's kind of two choices there. And it does come back to money in a sense. And you can either go kind of cheap as chips, or you can pay international prices for, very wonderful places to stay. So that's quite interesting. And the whole trend there is a bit more towards, booking airfares separately and booking accommodation that you like, I guess.
Right.
So we're sort of seeing Bali just fragment a bit. And at the bottom end, it's not really it's not fair to say the bottom end. I'm just looking at a 5-night deal at the Grand Mirage, which is, a very nice 5-star property with unlimited food and drinks for $16.99 for 2 people. So
wow.
You have got that going on in Bali, but I mean, you're literally just getting ready to go up there yourself.
This afternoon, for the first time, which will, I'm sure there are some listeners now picking themselves up off the floor because they can't believe that, particularly a travel writer, hasn't even been to
travel
Bali.
Writer, born and bred in West Australia.
Not been to Bali. It's amazing. So, look.
So, where are you going?
Well, it's interesting. So, I'm going for a relatively short stay at Karma Kandara, which is in, is it Ungasan? I'm seeing, I don't even know how to pronounce all these names. Ungasan. It's a beautiful coastal sort of resort. So, I guess that is looking at the second of those two options that you were just discussing.
Exactly right. I mean, you're going somewhere very beautiful. And, I guess, you get a refined experience there. So,
yes,
without preempting it, of course.
No. But look, it's one of those places where you do have your own velo, your own pool, those kinds of things. So there's a certain level of luxury. But over and above that, I think just looking at the surrounding countryside and where it's situated, the natural aspect just looks extraordinary.
Yeah, completely right. Okay, well that's good. So you're off this afternoon.
Off this afternoon, yeah. Flying Jetstar too.
On that subject,
yeah.
It's interesting for us in West Australia because we've got Jetstar, AirAsia and Batik.
Yes.
But we've still got Garuda, Indonesia, conspicuously absent.
That is interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, they've just increased flights between Melbourne and Denpasar, and they're flying into Sydney, and you go, well,
what's going on?
Where are we and all that? Yeah, bizarre. Can't get any answers out of them. Anyway.
Well, listeners, if anyone out there can answer that question, don't be shy.
Yeah, well, they won't answer us. Yeah, sure.
But look, that's interesting. But yeah, again, like with any destination, there are a number of, flying options depending on your budget and time and so forth. But we do try to travel as best as we can, as anyone else would, because we want to report back to you, the actual experience. And that's important to say.
Exactly right. On airlines, we're seeing very strong, consistent travel between Perth and Singapore with Singapore Airlines and with Scoot, but particularly with Singapore Airlines.
What about Singapore? Sorry, can I just interrupt you? What about Singapore? Yeah. Singapore as a destination, how's that looking?
Yeah, you see, it comes into its own this year because, I mean, there are, we have all been through what we've been through, and there are people, lots of our readers' audience who are venturing back out into the world, but perhaps don't want to go too far, want security, want to feel that they can get home, all those sort of comforts, I suppose, in their travel just while we're re-emerging from our chrysalis. And Singapore, offers all of that, where it's a very well-run, well-managed city-state, as we all know. And Singapore Airlines, you just can't get past that.
Indeed.
So Singapore's providing Asia and a different cultural experience for all of us who've been, trundling around WA for a couple of years. Provides that cultural change. 5 hours, less than 5 hours flight away, and with that sort of peace of mind, I suppose. So yeah, we're certainly seeing that. We're seeing airfares at around from about 700 return, and also just I'll put on people's radar that the Singapore Grand Prix is in September, and that's a fantastic weekend. So, the Grand Prix under lights. But all the shows and stuff, everything that happens around it is great. So that's coming up as well. Just thinking ahead, then we've got the Antarctica season, which is November to March out of South America, out of Ushuaia or Punta Arenas, but mainly Ushuaia. And that's booking very solidly. So, but interestingly, there was a huge demand last year, and there is, a lot of demand for that this year, but there's still capacity. And I really actually sort of thought that by March, probably you'd be really scratching for a cabin, but not so. So you can still get on ships. We're looking at, really compared with previous years. I mean, I'm just looking at Hershey Rutan's 12-day highlights of Antarctica, which is that classic sort of Ushuaia, Drake Passage, explore the peninsula, come back, from 10,335 per person twin share. Well, that's a very good price. We've got a 9-day trip with Aurora, which is an Australian company. From it's American dollars, but it's 9,940. So they're in the same sort of ballpark, different length of trips, of course, but in that sort of ballpark. So I'm pretty interested in that. What I am interested with Hershey Rutan is that they have no single supplement on selected departures. And I can almost hear some people out there hooping and hollering. So that's,
like about time.
It's such a it's such a bugbear, isn't it, for so many people?
No, absolutely.
Hershey Rutan, incidentally, it's a Norwegian company. It's spelled Hurtigruten.
Yes.
But I'm reliably informed one doesn't pronounce the G. But it's a Norwegian company, 130th anniversary this year. How's that? So fantastic company.
That is amazing. Yeah, that
sort of level. Still got berths on with Antarctica. The still on air. The direct flight, the Qantas direct flight to London's very busy. You're booking a long way ahead for that. But there's a lot of access. I mean, I just booked. I'm going to the UK on Monday. Sunday night.
Sunday night
at the end of the York Festival with you. Yeah. I mean, I booked that a couple of days ago with Emirates, and it's $3,000 return at about just over a week's notice. So that's not bad.
That's not bad.
That's really, we keep hearing, social media is full of the extortionate airfares. Well, at short notice, before the pandemic, I would have expected to pay $3,000 to book a week out and I'm going on very specific times. I'm going on the Sunday night, coming back on Thursday. And I want to fly into Birmingham, so I've got very specific criteria, and I'm still only paying $3,000, which is, incredible.
Yes, so taking into account.
Yeah, incredible. And that's just literally going on their website and booking like everyone else. So
over and above the whole friends and family thing, though, what's the UK looking like as a destination as well?
Oh, look, it's all about the coronation. May the 6th.
Oh, goodness.
May the 6th, King Charles III coronation.
So talking about family, that's the family. Family with a capital F.
With a surname like yours, shame on you.
The firm. Look, I'm not. Look, I'll confess here on the pod that I'm not a royalist, so I have very little interest in.
With a surname like Yeoman, you should be ashamed. It's all about that because not just the day itself, of course, the event itself, but the whole build-up. In England will be something to experience for a lot of people. So leading into that, all the things that will happen, flags and excitement. So May the 6th is today for the coronation. I'll be waving my flag, even if you're not.
Okay.
and then cruising. I mean,
yes.
I've said this before, but I'll repeat. I was sort of caught out really in my thinking about how fast cruising would start. I expected expedition small boat cruising to start, small ship cruising, and then it's build up. But everything, everywhere, short term, long term, big ships, small ships. It's just everyone's. People who are cruising are very confident about everything.
Yeah, look, and Stephen, partly because of that, we've kind of reassembled a new team, haven't we? You want to talk about that a little bit?
Well, this for me is the story of the week. Michael Ferranti, who's a great part of the team, and a great friend of all of us, because we are all friends, has rejoined the team. So Michael, when we published right through the pandemic, but at smaller sizes, and that, obviously Michael, as a cruise writer, did other things within Seven West Media, and still is, and is very valued right through the company, but has come back to us last Saturday edition. He came back to us as cruise writer, and then Saturday night, he was actually in Sydney on Saturday, and last Saturday night he won the Cruise Line Industry Association's Media Award for Australasia, which is, better than the national
Just
award.
fantastic.
So I'm complete.
Yes.
We're all URIMOs, we're all pennies, we're all completely thrilled for him. Look, I'm going to be a bit unguarded here and say, in doing so, he beat finalists from supplements published in the Sydney Morning Herald, The Age, the Sun Herald, the Sunday Age, and nationally, the Escape, Lived Out and News Corporation papers across Australia. So for us, little old Perth, I tell you what, Michael's an absolute diamond. So we're thrilled for him, and it was a very, very fine story, which was published in our pages.
Yes, and just such great timing too, that he just happened to be rejoining our team at the same time.
Yeah,
just amazing.
Everything's lined up again, so everything's great for Mike. We're very pleased about that. There are a couple of other big wins for, a lot of the audience will be familiar through us with Fiction Travel, which is a West Australian company, also won the Small Cruise Agency of the Year. That was their 9th win.
Wow.
Which is pretty, very impressive.
They're doing something right.
Yeah, that's right. And Ignite Travel, which we have a very good relationship, was named Large Cruise Agency of the Year. So it's a very good wins there. It's a massive night in Sydney. I've been over that myself before, and it's a big night. So once again, we're just, Michael Ferrari is back. Yay, we're very happy.
And of course we can look forward to having Michael right here on the Pod Well Travel in the future.
Yeah, Michael's going to be a very big part of the pod. He's going to be writing for Saturday Travel and Sunday Travel. His stories will be on thewest.com.au/travel, and they'll crop up in eTravel as well, which you sign up for at westtravelclub.com.au. Just register to be a member, which basically means you get eTravel. That's it. Hey, I did that thing for you. Well, did you see me? I just snuck that in, doing all these.
Yeah. You think I don't notice these things?
I'm just thinking about you going to Bali. I want to get you packed.
Yeah, but thank you. Look, that's great. So,
good. Well, I think now I should sit you down and make you a nice cup of tea.
A nice cup of tea, and here we go.
Hello. Yes. No, that's awfully kind, yes, but another day I'm frightfully busy, yes. Thank you very much.
Buchanan,
what
I
is
want
it?
you to listen to this song of mine.
A song?
Yes, song.
Must you?
I really must.
Must you get it out of your system?
Yes, I'll play it for you.
Yes, thanks awfully, yes. Dear. Sounds like the one I heard yesterday.
It couldn't have been.
No?
No.
I think it's awfully good.
Mr. Buchanan.
Yes, what is it?
May I have your autograph?
Autograph? I can't
please.
write, I'm sorry.
I've got a new book
Yeah, but I'm very busy.
I've come a long way, you know.
Yes. Equally long way to go back, too, isn't it? Yes. Goodbye. Hello. Oh, no, I'm sorry, no.
Your tea, Mr. Buchanan.
Tea? That's different, bless your heart. Every nation in creation has its favorite drink. France is famous for its wine, its beer in Germany. Turkey has its coffee, and they serve it blacker than ink. Russians go for vodka, and England loves its tea. Oh, the factories may be roaring with the boom-a-lacka, zoom-a-lacka-wee. But there isn't any roar when the clock strikes 4. Everything stops for tea. Oh, a lawyer in a courtroom in the middle of
a nice cup of tea. Go on, love, put the kettle on. Let's have a nice cup of tea. All around the world, kettles are being put on and nice cups of tea are being made. Is it your cup of tea? A nice cup of tea? According to legend, tea drinking was discovered in 2737 BC by Chinese Emperor Sheng Ning when leaves accidentally blew into his pot of boiling water. The British eventually took it to India, and in 1867 James Taylor took the only holiday of his life to Assam in northeast India and brought back tea bush seeds to his home in Ceylon, where they'd all been planting coffee, but a leaf disease had destroyed the industry. And I am in Sri Lanka now, in the highlands near Hatton, in mist and damp, where people in bright colours pluck tea leaves with long, strong brown fingers, precisely where James Taylor planted those seeds. Tea bushes cover these hills like fluffy green balls of cotton wool in marching lines. They're plucked 4 times a month, the best tea coming from the bud and top 2 leaves. Tea likes to be high. It likes to be over 1,000 metres above sea level. It loves being at 1,400. This is Norwood Estate, from whence probably comes the popular brand of Yorkshire tea, tea of substance. I see 3 signs over Norwood Estate's factory door. No smoking, no beetle chewing, no child labour. An estate of substance. Pluckers start at 7:45 a.m, the harvest brought to the factory, and the leaves first spread to wither before being rolled in machines almost identical to those used in the 1860s. The leaves are chopped small in minces, left to complete their precise oxidation, dried at 120 degrees C, sifted and graded and bagged in sacks. A shoot plucked at 7:45 a.m. is turned into black tea by 7:45 a.m. the next day. 20,000 kilograms of green leaf handled on one estate in one day turned into 5,000 kilograms of tea. Within 3 weeks, the tea has been sold and turned into cash, and everyone can sit back and relax and have a nice cup of tea. White, green, black, oolong, 13 billion kilograms of Camellia sinensis, hand-picked around the world each year. Yes, it's enough to make you need a cup of tea and a lie down. Tea travelled to China, from China to Victorian England, and got celebrity endorsement from Queen Anne. Expensive. It was drunk in tiny cups without milk or sugar. It started the traditions of my childhood. High tea in good china with saucers and white bread sandwiches with the crusts cut off. In Boston, in 1773, they had a party. They refused to let 3 ships of tea unload, then dumped it in the harbour. Yes, it was quite a party. Today, Americans drink 50 billion cups of tea a year, and people in the United Kingdom drink 62 billion. Britain is the world's 2nd biggest tea drinking nation, behind Ireland, where on average each person drinks 1,460 cups a year, precisely 4 cups a day for 365 days. In Australia, we produce about 750 million cups of tea a year, black, green, oolong and others, with most of it, 85%, on the Atherton tablelands in far north Queensland, but some in New South Wales and Victoria and Tasmania. Of course, I'm not the first writer to turn my attention to tea. In 1945, George Orwell published a piece called A Nice Cup of Tea in his collected essays, Journalism and Letters. He listed 11 outstanding points for making a perfect cuppa. Among them, outstanding point: make tea in a pot of china or earthenware, as tea out of an urn is always tasteless. Outstanding point: warming the pot beforehand is better done by placing it on the hob than swishing it with hot water. Outstanding point: drink it out of a cylindrical cup, not a flat, shallow type. Outstanding point: make it strong. And of course, George Orwell wasn't the first to turn his attention to the finer points of making tea. After the Nazis unleashed the Blitz on 16 English cities between September 1940 and May 1941, the British were officially advised to keep calm and carry on and preserve small moments of normalcy where possible. Of course, that meant drinking tea, and not just any old tea, but good tea. To that end, the Empire Tea Bureau made a 10-minute film in 1941, Tea Making Tips. Tea making tip: store tea leaves away from cheese, soap and spices. Tea making tip: use fresh water. Stale water makes stale tea, which no one needs, especially in wartime. Tea making tip: don't add milk to the tea too soon. Wait for the last possible minute. Wait until you see the whites of their eyes, boys. What would they have thought of the tea bagging machines invented in the 1950s? It's all serious stuff, but tea lends itself to one-liners too. What would you drink with King Charles? Royal tea. How does Moses make his tea? He brews it. And what's the difference between the Fremantle Dockers and a tea bag? A tea bag should stay in the cup longer. Enough of that. Put the kettle on. Keep calm. Carry on. Let's have a nice cup of tea. Indigenous Australians drank an infusion of leaves which Captain James Cook saw and called tea. The leptospermum became the tea tree. Tea was shipped with the first fleet in 1788, and in 1883 Alfred Bushell opened the first tea shop in Australia. Ah, Bushell's. As the swagman waltzed his Matilda, sipped Billy tea, a strong black brew with a handful of gum leaves swung 4 times. The old Indigenous people of the Kimberley taught me to drink black tea by the bucket before a day's cattle mustering. Nothing else all day, no sipping water until tea at night stops you sweating out your minerals. But our taste is becoming more refined. Sales of standard tea in Australia have been falling at the same rate as the rise of sales in specialty teas. It seems we Australians like quality. Tea drinking in China might date back to nearly 2800 BC, but for the rest of us, well, it probably dates back to breakfast time, or actually, just a few minutes ago. Anyone for a freshen up? Go on, love. Put the kettle on. Let's have a nice cup of tea.